All right. So I'm going to first start with a little bit of a presentation with some introductions, and then go from there. Let's start with this and see if this works. All right. So can everyone see the presentation slide? All right, very good, very good. So I want to start with some introductions before we sort of get into kind of a spiel about computer science at St. Mary's. My name is Alan Jameson. I am the chair of the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science. I'm an associate professor of computer science. I'm joined today by Dr. Lindsay Jameson, associate professor of computer science, and Dr. Simon Reed, who is also an associate professor of computer science. Dr. Emek Jose, who is the director of the math program, may be joining us a little bit later. The very first thing I want to start off with is talking about CS at a liberal arts institution, because it is a little bit different than what you see at some of the larger schools and some of the more engineering focused schools. The big thing I want to highlight for us is the idea of community, and the idea of not only community, but also sort of that personal relationship that you have with your peers, but also with your professors. And so you get to know us and we get to know you, and that's a real hallmark of the kind of community and approach that we have to computer science. I tell this story all the time, though it's been moved for another year. I get to go and officiate the wedding of one of our former students, one of our alums. That was going to be scheduled for the end of this coming May, but because of everything that's going on, that's been pushed for at least another year. But those kind of relationships are the relationships that we foster. The other thing that is actually not listed here, but is a hallmark of our program, is sort of flexibility. Once you get past the first couple of years of coursework, you start to be able to dictate what you want to learn and what kind of fields you want to go into. And you're tailoring that to your interest and what you plan on doing immediately after you leave St. Mary's. And we can help you with all of that information, and we can help guide you through all of those choices and help advise you. And you get that personal advice from us. We don't have any grad students. We have some classroom assistants that are actually undergraduates. But aside from that, you're learning directly from one of your professors, which is one of the things that we really like to emphasize. The things that make us similar to other programs is that we do provide a comprehensive computer science education program. So you get to see all of the sort of the fundamentals that you would normally see at a more engineering focused institution. So you'll get to see some systems courses, you get to see some software engineering courses, you get to see some theory courses. But again, all of that is sort of in your hands and what you want to do. We have internships and career outcomes. We're going to talk about those a little bit later on. But this is sort of like what our big spiel is as far as CS at St. Mary's. Sort of at a glance, we have lots and lots of different courses and lots of different emphasis areas, specifically things in AI and data science, software engineering, some game design and development, if that's one of your interest areas. We do undergraduate research, and students are allowed and encouraged to engage in that in data science, data visualization, graph theory. Computer science education is a big one for us right now. We have support programs that are specifically for our underrepresented groups in CS within our ACM Women and Minorities Club on campus. Our Emerging Scholars program, which is a program that's designed for first-year students in computer science, as well as encouraging students to apply for, and also we provide some funding for students to go to the two big diversity conferences, Grace Hopper and the Richard Tapia conferences, both in the fall. Capstone at St. Mary's is one of two options for CS, either the St. Mary's project, which is a research-focused course capstone, or the Software Startup Simulator, which is a community-based industry-style capstone project. And down here, all the way at the bottom, is sort of the idea of the first-year course plan, assuming that no students if you're not coming in with any sort of credit whatsoever, then you're talking about doing some core curriculum work, computer science 1 and 2, calculus 1 and 2, and discrete mathematics. Some summer experiences that I want to highlight. We have lots and lots of internships. Most of our students complete an internship at some point in their career. A lot of those internships turn into part-time work, usually in their senior year. A lot of these are built for our local connections. We have a very big naval base that is right on our doorstep. And along with that, there are a lot of contractors that work in that space that really, really desperately need tech talent. And so they come to us and ask us about internships. One of the other programs that we like to highlight is our CS Co-op program, which is a program that sponsors somewhere around 2 to 3 positions every summer. Students are housed on campus. They get to work with one of our corporate partners in a summer internship style program, as well as getting a scholarship for the next academic year, assuming that you did a good job. There are summer study tours that are available. There are none that are sort of specifically computer science focused, but this is one of the summer experiences that our students like to pursue, as well as research experiences for undergraduates, whether that's with the National Science Foundation sponsored REUs. We have students who have gone to those in Texas, in Washington, in New York, lots of different options there. Our own St. Mary's Undergraduate Research Fellowship Program, which is a summer research program that is built for undergraduates, and you're mentored by one of the professors that are on campus. And then also with the naval base, the Naval Research Experience Internship Program. Thank you. That is a relatively new program, but we have students that will be participating in that actually for the first time this summer. And one of the other things that we need to talk about are career outcomes. This is one of the most important things if there happen to be any parents that are on the call. Almost all of our graduates, approximately 97%, have employment within 6 months of graduation. The 3% that don't are typically students who are actually waiting, taking gap years, things like that. We typically do not have any issues where a student coming out of St. Mary's has a really, really tough time actually finding work that is in the field. That is usually not a thing that we encounter. Locally, there are a lot of defense contractors in the area: Booz Allen Hamilton, Northrop Grumman, and then, of course, directly for the DoD through the Naval Air Warfare. I don't remember what command NOC AD. I don't. And basically, the Naval Air Division that is here are the ones who are hiring most of our graduates. But we also have folks who go far afield, including at the big tech companies. We have a student who will be graduating here in May who just took a position at Microsoft in Virginia, not in Seattle. But we have students who are actually at Microsoft in Seattle as well. Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, you name it, we have had students at those companies. Research organizations are frequently a big contributor to the students who are being hired. Very specifically, Johns Hopkins APL, the Applied Physics Lab. They tend to snap up a lot of our students very early on, as in the fall semester before they graduate. NASA is another place that likes to hire our students. We do have students who go on to work at startups, including ones in the DC area, but also up in New York. Some of them are very, very successful, including multiple startup exits, meaning that the startup that they worked for got sold for usually absurd amounts of money. And then we do have students who go on to graduate school, including GW up in DC, also University of Virginia, which is not on the list. Neither is Virginia Tech, which are relatively new additions to the list. But Hopkins, UMBC, University of Wisconsin are all there. Roles for students coming out tend to vary widely depending on what their focus was. Some students end up working in more IT-focused areas. Some students are dedicated software developers. Some students end up doing project management roles and other leadership roles. And so it really depends on what the student wants to do, and we can help them get there, which is, again, going back to that flexibility that I mentioned very early on. All right, so that's the spiel. That's the longest spiel that I've given basically ever as far as this sort of thing goes. And so at this point, the idea is that between me, Lindsay, and Simon, we're answering your questions. And so whatever questions that you have, feel free to either put them in chat or just, we have not a terribly large amount of folks. So if you just want to sort of blurt them out, that's okay too.
I just kind of am curious about, like, compared to other courses at St. Mary's and other courses of study, how like students fare during the school time.
It can depend. Sometimes it depends on the student, and it also sometimes depends on how the student wants to sort of approach their academics. We have students who really try to take on a lot, right? So these are our students who are doing triple majors and 6 minors and stuff like that, things that I would never ever think of doing myself. But those tend to be like their periods of crunch time that go through the semester, where their midterms roughly scheduled all at the same time. There are projects that are scheduled roughly all at the same time, and that can be a little tough for students to manage. Fortunately, we have a very, very good Office of Student Support Services, we call it OS3, who helps students with some of those strategies they need to be able to be successful and work with them to actually make sure that, these are the management skills that you need. These are the management strategies that you need when you're trying to do, 20 plus credits a semester. We don't suggest that at all, but so it like the answer to your question is that it can depend. If you're looking at just CS, it tends to not be too bad. We do have periods where there's a lot of workload, especially because we don't necessarily coordinate with each other. And so sometimes, and this happens rarely, we accidentally schedule major projects all on the same week.
Okay.
That we try not to, but
yeah,
it happens sometimes.
No, it can also be bad if we don't talk to ourselves and schedule all of our projects due on the same week. Yeah, like as in I haven't checked my schedule for my 3 classes to make sure that I don't have a project due in each class on the same day. So
I'm gonna do this. I was at the SOAR last year, and my dad was the one who took the sign.
Okay.
And you showed me around it. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I remember. I was actually curious on what happened. You don't need to go into it.
I deferred because I was 16 and not ready.
Okay, that seems all right.
That's a good thing to realize about yourself. So good job.
Had a pretty blank gap there. I'm looking forward to learning stuff again.
Yes. That's okay. Are there any other questions that any of us could answer?
While you're figuring that out, one of the things I'd like to point out is the fun background we put in. This is actually a picture of one of our classrooms so that you can get an idea for what things look like as a student. So this is actually the classroom we use for our introductory computer science 1 classes. And there are whiteboards all around. There's big tables you can sit at and work with other people. And we found that it works really well for students.
All right, what type of computer am I going to be needing? I have this desktop, and I'm planning on just casting my desktop to a laptop, whatever it is. Would that be enough?
Honestly, it should be enough. One of the unfortunate things at St. Mary's is that the Wi-Fi can be somewhat spotty, so that may be a concern. Normally, we sort of a baseline, as long as it's not a Chromebook, most of the stuff that we talk about in class can be done with sort of an entry-level laptop. We do suggest having a laptop. We do have computers that are in all of the labs that you can use, and they do have all of the development elements that you need. But we find that students find it more convenient to have a laptop that they can use in class and then take with them.
All right, so the only thing that I should be concerned about is spotty Wi-Fi.
Spotty Wi-Fi, yes.
All right, cool.
Do you see in the chat that there's a question about the capstone projects and the software startup?
Yes, I'm going to let Lindsay.
I get to
take
talk
care
about
of
that because I'm the one teaching it recently. So
I'm going to mute myself for a second.
the software startup simulator is a newish class. We're in the first year of really running it, and the idea is that the students work together on a software team divided between development and quality assurance, and they are working towards a common goal. In this case, the students right now are working on a piece of software that's going to be used by Greenwell State Park, which is a local state park that has a nonprofit foundation as a part of it. And the nonprofit foundation was using the great data storage technique of emailing things to themselves. Highly don't recommend. And so they wanted something a little more secure, and my students are creating that for them along with a login system where they can regulate who can upload files and who can download files, who can change the files, and those sorts of things. And this is a project where they meet with the client on a regular basis. That includes one that they get to do tomorrow, where they're going to be practicing their Zoom skills and doing a Zoom meeting where they're presenting to the client. And these, it's a great way for the students to get experience working on a larger software team instead of the normal 2 to 4 that happens in most classes, which gives them something to talk about in their interviews as they're trying to get jobs.
The other capstone side of this is the St. Mary's project, which is a capstone option across campus. Every discipline has a St. Mary's project, and this is our research-focused capstone. It's an independent capstone, meaning that you typically work by yourself, and it's typically either supporting the research of one of the other faculty members, or in our case, frequently a student will pitch an idea, we sort of vet it, and the idea is hopefully at the end of it, we can get the student a publication or a presentation out of that work.
As technology advances, because that's happening pretty quickly, is the projects and stuff advancing as well?
Yes, yeah. In general, the idea is that the students, as far as the SMP goes, we try to vet all of those against what is the sort of the current state of the art, and making sure that it is actually a research question, meaning that it's a question that hasn't been answered before. And then as far as the capstone, the simulator capstone, it's about honestly, the students dictate what the technologies are.
And what languages are used and all of that based on what the client is telling them they need. And the clients will change every year. So this year it's Greenwell State Park. Next year, I think our actual client is going to be the chemistry department. There's a chemist who has an NSF grant and she needs software to go along with it. And so the students will be working on software to support her grant.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
And one of the things that Alan missed out of his very great presentation in the beginning, is study abroad could go in there, Alan. So there's opportunities to take a semester abroad and study in, well, Ireland, Australia, the UK are all popular places, but we have some places that where English is not the first language as well, and we have quite a lot of students who take up the opportunity to study overseas for a semester, and you can easily work that in with your major studies, so you can take classes overseas that count towards the major, so you're not losing any time by doing that, and the cost of study abroad is reasonable. It can be the same as the cost of study at St. Mary's. So I just wanted to bring up that opportunity, being from overseas myself.
What other questions are there? As Tammy will attest, we have lots of time.
I also was, oh, go ahead, Madeline.
I should have come prepared. Like, I got all this way.
I was going to say, if you could maybe share your emails in the chat, so if students have questions, well, I can see Simon's, but that would be helpful. If the students have questions, you can follow up, but you can also, I'll put mine in and I can always direct you to the right person.
I see how it, okay.
So you guys, no other questions?
Benefits of being a comp sci major at a liberal arts college. This is a great question. There's two big areas where the liberal arts sort of style of education shines for computer science. One is the idea of community and getting to know your professors really, really well, and us getting to know you very, very well. I related this story early on about I get to go and officiate the wedding of one of our alums. I don't know that if I was at a bigger college where I didn't have that sort of interpersonal relationship, that I would even have that chance. The other side of this is that you have flexibility. The required courses for CS are only span really the first 2 years. And it's really more like the first 3 semesters plus a little bit. You get to start to really think about what kind of courses that you want to take. What are the things that are very interesting to you? You get to talk to us one-on-one to try to figure out, oh, I want to do really, really deep data analytics stuff. What kind of courses do I need to take in order to make that happen? And we can give you that advice. And then you sort of figure that out and you take those courses that you want to take. That's not really the style that you see at other places, where other places will say that you have to take a course from column A, a course from column B, a course from column C. And so you really want to make sure for us that you're taking the things that are actually interesting to you, that gets you to that first job right out of college.
And I'm going to add something in before
sure.
you go with the other question. Did you want to go, Simon?
I don't mind, either me or you.
Okay.
Why don't you go?
Okay. So one of the things I like to point out is that at a smaller place like like St. Mary's, one of the things you end up doing is a lot of your friends are not going to have any experience with computer science. It's not a class they're going to think about taking. You're going to be sitting there, and one of the things you'll want to do is say, oh my gosh, my project is so hard. But you don't want to just say that. You want to complain about it a little longer. And you have to, in order to be able to do that, you have to be able to explain what it is that makes your project hard to somebody who has no experience with computer science. And by doing that and learning how to do that sort of thing, you're actually generating a skill that translates well into industry, because you will at that point be able to explain what you're working on to people who have no computer science background, which usually involves a boss type person, which means that you will be the person that people will expect to come in and be able to explain what you're doing and why you're doing it. And this is a big skill that that potential employers are looking for. So Simon, what do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say two things really. One is a little bit more than that. The liberal arts core values of being able to write, read, present, communicate effectively, and work in teams are all things that employers are desperately looking for in computer science graduates, and something that bigger universities are trying to figure out a way of supplying, but it's built into the liberal arts curriculum. And the other thing is the opportunity to study something other than computer science, to get some kind of domain experience that allows you to apply computer science to something in the real world. Computer science is not really a discipline in and of itself. It's a discipline that's applied to other things. And so being able to understand some of those other things is an advantage. So that's all I wanted to add.
I'm going to skip Tammy's question real quick and get to Elizabeth's question, and then circle back to Tammy's question that she posted in chat. Is there a statistics course in the curriculum? There's not a statistics course that is required by the CS major. We are currently developing a data science major where statistics would be required for that, but there is a statistics course that is on the books that is offered typically every single year. So if a student really wants to do sort of data analytics before our data science program really gets going, then we would strongly recommend that student take that statistics course. But it's not part of the actual, like, the computer science major. And then the other part of the second question that Elizabeth posted was, does St. Mary's get you ready to interview and secure these internships? And the answer is yes. We have a fantastic career development center. They do a lot of workshops and one-on-ones and resume building, as well as we do some of this in our classes. Simon runs a course called Interview Practicum, and those are actually built so that the students are tackling some of the more complex and interesting problems ready for that. Again, like our career development center does a fantastic job making sure that those students are prepared even for internships, but also certainly for those interviews that they'll be doing in order to secure their full-time positions once they're done at St. Mary's.
We also have Core 103, Core 104 coming online.
Right. I think they're called Core P now. Which is a whole another thing. These are 1 credit experiences. I think they're 1 credit.
Yeah.
The 1 credit experiences that you'll take during your first year, where that some of this will be part of it. And but aside from that, they'll have other options for workshops and things like that throughout the 4 years that students at St. Mary's, or 2 years if you happen to be a transfer student. And so talking about engineering, the big thing as far as gearing up for an engineering degree, we don't have an engineering degree at St. Mary's. That doesn't mean that a student can't be prepped in order to get an engineering master's degree or some other kind of engineering style program. The big thing for us and the thing that we recommend is taking some of the physics courses that align with the engineering that the student specifically wants to do, and taking some of the computer science courses that align with that. And so that could be as simple as taking a lot of sort of the mechanics and the physical physics style stuff that is built into the physics major, the applied physics major, and taking some of the introductory computer science sequence, and then of course a lot of mathematics. So at least 3 semesters of calculus, and probably also differential equations, linear algebra, as part of their 4 years at St. Mary's, gets them ready to go as far as getting into engineering master's programs, or the accelerated engineering programs that Maryland has.
I see your question, Elizabeth. We'll get to it in just a second. I just want to make sure we don't go past Tammy's question about double majoring. Many of our students double major. Physics is a common one, math is a common one, but we also have students who double major in computer science and English, or computer science and religious studies. And that's actually one of the really cool things that Simon was talking about with being at a liberal arts school. Having had relatives who've gone to engineering or nursing schools, if you do that, the probability of you having time to fit in these extra things that aren't directly related to your program of study is really hard. You just can't do it. Here it's easy. We have students every year, I think, who major in computer science and at least minor in physics.
Right. The valedictorian, or one of the co-valedictorians from 2 years ago, was actually a physics computer science double major. So it does happen frequently, actually. Is it possible to just have classes in the afternoons and evenings at St. Mary's, if that is your preference? It is very, very difficult for you to be able to do that. I don't want to say that it is impossible to do that, but certainly you can get away with sort of late morning and then into the afternoon and evening. That is a possibility. Our classes in CS generally run from somewhere around 10:40. 10 o'clock, 10:40 through 4 o'clock, 4:30. We have a couple of evening classes every single year. But in general, you're talking about that 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. block for the CS courses. The once-a-year classes, like AI ever fill up. Some of our classes are actually on an every other year schedule. Artificial intelligence happens to be one of them. Some of them do tend to fill up, but generally we don't shut students out of those courses. And we tend to kind of shift around and look at our enrollments and see if there's courses that are more popular than others, then we'll make sure that those are available for students, and either shift classrooms or figure some other way out for students to do that. For instance, my artificial intelligence class tends to be one that fills up fairly quickly. So we're hosting it in a fairly large room for the first time. And that way we make sure that students are able to take those courses if they need to.
So first year schedule, you're going to be taking Core 101 probably in the fall. Probably it depends on what AP classes are coming in, and what transfer credits you're going to have. Generally, someone who comes in with nothing is going to be taking Calc 1 if they're ready for it, CS 1, the core class, and then something that is not in Schaefer Hall. Yes. A foreign language, psychology, something like that, that's going to get you out of the building where we have all our classes.
Right. And one of the things that you note is Psych 101 is one of the courses that counts for the core curriculum. Yeah. So if you want to explore psychology, if you want to explore a foreign language, a lot of those courses are going to tick off a box for the core curriculum. So we normally encourage our students to explore things that are outside of the building that we're in. The building that we're in is physics, biology, math, and computer science. And there's so many other buildings on campus, and they're all wonderful, and they've got great faculty and great programs. Go elsewhere, go explore and learn. Yes, Tammy. We work with our students sort of one-on-one. We work with our students trying to make sure that their needs are met. And this is very, very important. Our students have, this even boils down to the interpersonal connections that you wouldn't normally get otherwise. Like my advisees have my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. They are allowed absolutely to text me at any time if they're having some sort of struggle, if they need to talk something out. I say, go send me a text. I'm not guaranteed that if you're texting me at 3 o'clock in the morning that I'm going to answer, but at the very least, they have that contact with us. And we are absolutely able and willing to try to work things out with students as best as we can.
Oh, Elizabeth, we are also worried about the possibility of online in the fall. Online classes are not what I got into this for, and it is not my favorite way of doing it.
I don't think so. Based off of speaking from sort of a chair's perspective, and the conversations that are going on between us and the provost, I don't think that that it is on the table right now that we will be completely online for the fall. Not like we're online for these 6 weeks, because we've been online since the after our spring break, so 6 weeks of the semester. There is a possibility, and this is in sort of absolute like truth and transparency. There is the possibility that we might start online for 2-3 weeks, something like that, which is not ideal. And as the folks at admissions will definitely tell you, that the thing for St. Mary's is the fact that you can have that face-to-face with us. We are, in general, much better in that face-to-face, but we've all adapted. We've been using technology. We've got a great Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning, which is helping all of the faculty, especially the ones that may be a little bit tech adverse, to move to online instruction. Thus far, the students recognize that it's not ideal, but as far as I know, there's not like huge gaps in how that content is being delivered, that the students are getting the skills, the knowledge, and everything like that they should be. I'm hosting somewhere around 10-12 hours of face-to-face time with students, and where they can just drop in and have a conversation with me. They don't even have to be part of the class, but that as long as they know that I'm there, that support still exists. And I think that's still the strength of being somewhere like St. Mary's, even if we happen to start sort of early on in the semester, early on in the academic year, with a couple of weeks of online instruction.
And we'll know how to do it better.
Yes.
than we kind of do now. I mean, I don't think we're doing a bad job, but I think that we've learned some things about what works well with students who like FaceTime and what doesn't work quite so well. We have a different student body than most online universities. So the way we need to do things is a little different than how we would do things for other online classes, like, for example, being available a lot of the time. I just spent most of my day on Slack helping students with projects. So we need still more personal contact than you might otherwise get, than you would get at a typical online institution.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's helpful.
I mean, I think the answer is that no, we don't know. And obviously that's not what we want. One of the things we've talked about in admissions is that this is everybody. It's not like a situation like Katrina where kids at Tulane had to have you know, or at Loyola or whatever, had to have classes online because their school washed away. You know, we're all working through this, and it's very much an unknown. But certainly what we offer is that traditional residential undergraduate experience. And if, as of now, and at any point that we have to be online, we're still going to be stressing those same values and the relationships and the accessibility to professors and the community.
Just know that we are trying absolutely our best to get everybody back on campus as soon as we possibly can. Safely. This was the follow-up that I was about to mention, is that we're still absolutely going to follow the guidance of health officials and things like that to make sure that that everybody, that we're doing this as safely as possible. But we're trying as much as we can to get people back face to face. Would St. Mary's consider closing until January instead? I can't answer that question. Even as a chair, that is above my pay grade. I know that our administration is looking at a lot of different options. My guess is that closing until January is probably not one of them. But I can't answer that with any degree of certainty. How many CS and math credits do you need to graduate? The major requires 60 credits out of the 128 total that you need to graduate.
12 of them are math. I get that right?
Calc 1, Calc 2, and discrete, yes. Yeah. 12 of them are math.
And students should keep in mind that the conversation you had about checking multiple boxes. So it's not 60 of just computer science, and then a lot of those are going to overlap. Some things are going to go to core, some things are going to go to a double major or minor.
Yep. Our data science degree program, which I'm hoping is going to be approved because I put a lot of hours of work into it, and I'd be very annoyed if it doesn't get approved, is actually built very specifically for students to be able to do double majors, minors, and things like that very easily. Because again, this is the liberal arts tradition of being able to explore lots and lots of different things, which is what you want out of your college experience.
Everyone had their questions answered? I see Madeline. I think Abdullah's still there somewhere. I'm not sure who all are students and who all are parents and who all are staff, but I wanted to thank the professors for being here. I want to thank everyone for being here, taking the time. I know I learned a ton about computer science, which is helpful when I meet with students, hopefully when I go back into high school soon. We put up our emails. If you're ever not sure who you need to talk to, if you send an email to admissions@smcm.edu, we will get you to the right person.
So to answer the question that just came into the chat, there is not currently a plan for a data science minor. The major will come online as far as academic year 21-22. However, that doesn't mean a student that is coming in to St. Mary's this year can't do the data science major. Assuming, again, that everything is approved, we'll be able to advise students who are entering this year on how best to approach their course selections so that they can choose to be a data science major when that goes live within our catalog. So students who are on campus now could be part of the first cohorts that actually graduate with the data science major.
And one of the things to keep in mind is that you don't have to declare a major until the end of your sophomore year, right. Which is one of the reasons why you can plan now to do data science, but not be able to declare it until your second year, and that's not a big deal.
Yep.
You don't have to declare a minor until the beginning of the semester, right before you graduate.
I mean,
earlier is nicer for him.
Yes.
I think we're good then. Oh, here comes another. Oh, thank you. That was great. We always like those comments. Yes, thank you. Thank you for everybody. Again, we're as available as we can be, all of us, in all kinds of ways. So just get in touch and we were happy to answer any questions that we can.
Yes.
I'm gonna,
Feel free to drop us an email. We're all checking our emails regularly, especially at this point. And so we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
awesome. Okay, I don't think